after crew on his initial flight identified what the White House has described as a minor electrical issue shortly after takeoff. Trump will head to the forum on a new aircraft. The BBC's James Copnell has the details.
Well, President Trump's trip to Davos was delayed briefly after he had to turn back and change aircraft because of what was described as a minor electrical issue. But already the US president's foreign policy aims have dominated conversations at Davos. Speaking at the summit, the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, promised an unflinching response to Mr. Trump's threat of tariffs, while President Emmanuel Macron of France accused the US of trying to weaken and subordinate Europe and warned fellow leaders at the summit of a shift towards a world without rules.
Recapping the top story, suspects in the theft of $580,000 at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Palapala farm in Bilabila are expected to be back in the Modimolle Magistrate Court in Limpopo today. I'm Mondolambara for SFM News headlines at 9:30.
Babilanuko want to rubber stamp that kumnandi in the top half, while Ezimnyama Ngenkani are highly spirited to make this their season to shine. This is the Betway Premiership. Lesekazini forever. Catch Skukune United versus Orlando Pirates on Saturday, 24 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
I don't love going to school. I don't love sitting in a classroom with 50 other children. But I do love learning. Ndiyakuthanda ukufunda isiXhosa as a language. I do love getting good grades. I do love UCT Online High School because I do love my future. Apply online before the 26th of January.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.1 FM in Johannesburg. The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
I was interviewing as an instructor for Supply Chain Institute, and I knew I was the ideal candidate. I had over 20 years of expertise leading supply chains for one of the world's largest consumer products companies. As I prepped for my interview, I didn't want there to be any doubts about my qualifications. I created an elevator pitch and included a complete list of my accomplishments. When I heard "Tell me about yourself," I was ready, and I proudly explained everything that I could do. When I finished, the interviewer said, instead of talking about yourself, it would have been more effective if you had explained what you can do for me. My interview lasted 5 minutes. She rejected me on the spot based off of one answer. That was my wake-up call. Fast forward about 6 months. I'm having coffee with the executive director of a business development program. She asks me, "What do you do?" I answer her in one sentence. I'm a communications consultant, and I help people with something to say but struggle to say it. She leans in and says 3 magic words. "Tell me more." 15 minutes later, she hires me to give workshops for new entrepreneurs. But here's the thing. I was the same person who blew that interview just 6 months before. But this time, I got the job, even though I had way fewer qualifications. And the only thing different between success and failure, between that door of opportunity opening or slamming shut in my face, was my introduction.
Rebecca Okamoto is a communication clarity and personal brand consultant. In one sentence, are you able to describe what it is that you do without having to explain? Just one sentence. One sentence. And it's such a clear message around not only personal branding, but especially when you're trying to source new opportunities and speaking to people who might not always be familiar with the work that you might be doing on a day-to-day basis. You're listening to The Talking Point. Welcome to the show. It's 10 after 9 o'clock. My name is Kathy Motlatlana, and I'll be with you until midday. Yes, we're going to be getting into the open line shortly. I see some of you have already started calling in. Of course, it is your national roundtable, and it is your opportunity to raise any matters of national interest, any matters that you would like us to debate on, to reflect on. So coming up on the show today, we'll get into our open line. The number to dial this morning, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, I'll take your text messages and voice notes on 0614 104 107. Coming up on the show today, in a moment, I want us to turn our attention to a situation that is unfolding in Malawi. We have an increasingly tense political environment and what seems to be a standoff between the former president of that country, Lazarus Chakwera, and the incumbent Arthur Peter Mutharika. So we'll be taking a look at the situation in Malawi shortly. Before we do, though, just a look at what's coming up on the show today. In the second hour of the show for Citizens Corner, we're going to be focusing on NSFAS. That's the National Student Financial Aid Scheme for the 2026 academic year. We'll just be getting a sense of where things are, where NSFAS is concerned. And as always, the beginning of the new year, we get inundated with different kinds of inquiries about students, applications, any outstanding matters. So the NSFAS spokesperson, Ishmael Mnisi, will be joining us for that conversation. And then in the 11 o'clock hour, we'll continue our coverage of what is unfolding in Parliament. We'll take you back to the evidence that is set to continue today. Robert McBride did not conclude his evidence yesterday, so he will be continuing this morning, and we're live there after 11 o'clock. So that's a look at what's coming up on the show. And if I can ask for the open line, those of you that have questions on NSFAS, please start sending them in at around 10 to 10. Okay, send them in around 10 to 10. That way they don't get lost in all of the messages that are coming through for the open line. So if you have specific questions, comments that are related to NSFAS, send them in at 10 to 10, and that way they're top of the pile as we prepare for that conversation at 10 o'clock. All right, back to the situation in Malawi. We have an increasingly tense political environment, and it's in the aftermath of the September 2025 election. There are fresh questions now being asked about the use of state power and the rule of law in that country. It follows a direct exchange between the current administration and former President Lazarus Chakwera after a series of arrests involving opposition figures. On Monday, Chakwera confirmed that he personally called President Arthur Peter Mutharika, complaining about what he described as political arrests and warning of constitutional overreach. The government has rejected that claim and argues that the arrests under Dr. Chakwera's administration failed to produce convictions because they were made without evidence. The current administration is insisting that law enforcement is now acting on clear evidence and that those arrested are going to be brought to trial swiftly. Now, these arrests, seemingly, as described by Chakwera, are targeting members of the now opposition party. Well, the post-election environment has been marked by polarization, and clearly this dispute is going beyond politics. Also concerning, right, that you have a former and sitting president openly disagreeing over the legitimacy of arrests. It does raise concerns about institutional neutrality, about public trust, about political instability. These are just some of the issues that come when we look at the latest. Joining us for this conversation is Michael Khayatsa, who is the chairperson of the Human Rights Defenders Coalition and the executive director of the Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation. Michael, good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
The situation seems increasingly tense in Malawi, especially between the two presidents. What is happening in that country, in your own words?
Yeah, so indeed, there seems to be disagreements over the arrests that are happening in Malawi right now. So what is happening is that, just to give you a little bit of a background, we had the elections on the 16th September 2025, which resulted in the Dr. Lazarus Chakwera being voted out of power, and the then former president, Peter Mutharika, being elected again. And what we have seen after the elections is that the police have started arresting senior officials of the former ruling party, the Malawi Congress Party. Already about 6 or 7 individuals have been arrested on various charges ranging from corruption, abuse of office, and even just recently we saw the arrest of the former spokesperson, Honorable Moses Kunkuyu, on charges related to what is described as attempts to destabilize the country. So these arrests are coming, immediately after the transfer of power, and the concern that has come from the Malawi Congress Party is that these arrests are politically motivated. These statements are coming, especially against the background that before the arrest, we have seen senior officials of the current ruling party making statements warning the MCP that those that were involved in corruption or violating the law, they will be arrested. So people have jumped to the conclusion that all these arrests are politically motivated. What is also most worrisome is the fact that some of these arrests have defied, the rule of law. For example, we have the case of the Secretary General of the Malawi Congress Party, who was arrested on the 12th December last year, and he was held in detention for over a month without charge, and he was also denied bail. Now, that has raised concerns of, first of all, abuse of the police, and also violating the rule of law, because the Constitution guarantees everyone the right to bail, and also to be charged and not to be held without with intention without charge. Yes.
Michael, when I look at the statement that we received from the press secretary's office in Malawi, Kathy Maulidi, who was unavailable to speak with us this morning, that statement says that, well, yes, Chakwera did call the president to complain about these political arrests. It then further says that the current president told him that, unlike the political arrests of his administration, where no single person has been convicted because the arrests were made without evidence, the law enforcement officials under the current administration have arrested and will continue to arrest individuals where there is clear evidence. So it suggests that there seems to be a fighting fire with fire approach, that the current administration feels well within its rights to do what it's doing, and in fact, it believes it's acting in a more just way than Chakwera did when he was in office.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting what is happening, because if you see what happened during the Chakwera administration, there were also arrests. A number of people were arrested, including even the current president. What is even more interesting is the fact that although all these arrests were made, no conviction was secured, which means people were arrested. Some of them, after bail, their cases stalled, and until the whole 5 years elapsed without any conviction whatever. And what the president is saying, the current president, is that they are doing these arrests, they are conducting all these arrests with evidence. Of course, that is disputable, because we have also seen that people have been arrested without charge. For example, the case of Honorable Shibwendo Banda, he was arrested, as I said, on December 12th, and he was held in detention without charge, and he was even denied bail. So it's like what you're saying, fighting fire to fire. What is coming out clearly, from our perspective, is that what the Chakwera administration is doing is exactly what the previous administration, what the Mutharika administration is doing is exactly what the Chakwera administration was doing. These arrests are used as a way of intimidating or even punishing opponents.
All right, Michael, let's
which
leave
raises
it there.
concerns, yes.
Hey, want to check your TV license balance conveniently? Look no further. Our SMS service allows you to do just that. By sending a message containing your ID or TV license number to 44210, you can quickly access your balance without needing multiple inquiries or waiting on hold. Plus, standard SMS rates apply. Take advantage of this efficient method to stay informed and streamline your payment process today. T's and C's apply.
There are routines we all love. Morning and night skincare routines, exercise routines, even new routines like meal prep, journaling, and chemo. That last one hit differently, didn't it? The truth is, over 99% of cervical cancer cases are linked to the human papillomavirus. So if you're a woman between 15 and 44, act now. Ask your healthcare provider about the HPV vaccine. This message was brought to you by MSD.
As the nation seeks answers, SAFM brings you live, uninterrupted coverage of Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee investigating allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. You can also stay up to date with the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into Criminality, Political Interference and Corruption in the Criminal Justice System. Stay informed, stay connected. Tune in live on SAFM 104 to 107 and follow the coverage across our digital platforms live on Facebook, X and YouTube at SAFM Radio. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, we continue the conversation this morning. So you heard there the concerns being raised about the situation in Malawi, particularly around the use of state power. The challenge there is that clearly it's part of a pattern, right? A part of a pattern that has existed under both administrations. If we are to understand what it is that both these past and present and current presidents are having to say to each other, and it's just concerning that we get stuck. We get stuck here on governance issues, on the continent. So we'll take some of your calls on the situation in Malawi. Perhaps there's a different context or different angle you want to bring on the National Roundtable. 086 000 2032 is the number to dial. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. Let me start off in Cape Town this morning. Mark, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you say today is the Pala case at the court today. Hello?
Yes, Mark.
Yes, now my concern is that amount that the president had, James Scout, exceeded way over the amount that we as citizens are being allowed. Now, why isn't he being charged with money laundering and tax evasion? So where is Mr. Kieswetter from SARS? Where is he? I'm asking you, you must phone him and ask him, why are they not intervening regarding the tax evasion and the money laundering? That is my question.
Mark, you remember that SARS came out and basically cleared the president?
How can they clear the president if that 10 million exceeds the amount that we are allowed to have cash in our possession? How is that possible? So can anybody bring $10 million in the country without declaring it or paying only tax on it and declare it, as I said?
Yeah.
So I can just bring in $10 million without declaring it. If they catch me in the airport with 10 million, what will happen to me? They will charge me, obviously. Am I correct or wrong?
Yeah, look what SARS says, what SARS said, and I managed to just pull up the statement now, is that there was a tax compliance statement that basically spoke to the sale of game on the president's farm to the tune of $4 million. So
okay, yes, I understand that. But there's a law that says you are only allowed to have a certain amount of money, cash money in your possession. Am I right or wrong?
Mark, I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying, but I'm taking it back to the institutions and the organizations that were tasked with looking into this matter, and that subsequently came out and said they found no wrongdoing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It becomes the challenge. It's that all of these institutions, including the Reserve Bank, remember the Reserve Bank also looked into it. They said they found nothing wrong. Public Protector said found nothing wrong. And the question that you're asking is a very important question. Does it mean you and I can now keep dollars in our sofas and we won't be arrested?
Exactly, that is my point. No, man.
Okay.
I never voted. I'm 58 years old. I never voted because why? I said a few years ago, I phoned in, I said, this is a fake democracy. Really, it's a fake democracy. And coming to the point is seeing the fact that it was US dollars. The American government has got all the jurisdiction to prosecute him because it is their currency is US dollars. If the so-called government is doing nothing about it.
Okay. All right, Mark. Let's leave it there. Mark out in Cape Town. And that has been the rightful frustration for many South Africans. Does it mean that we can be found with these huge amounts of money and not face arrest or prosecution or any kind of accountability, really? That if we're able to explain it, then nothing happens.
Hi, Kathy. Hope you're well. Errol here from Durban. Look, I just hope Julius Malema doesn't get a slap on the wrist for discharging a gun in public. You know, there's an old saying, there's one rule for politicians and one rule for the rest of us. I mean, even a 10,000 Rand fine is nothing to him. He's reported to be worth about 65 million Rand, probably more. So, yeah, let's just wait and see what happens. Errol, Durban.
Hi, Kathy. I'm Kululeko Duma. from Harding at Santombe in KZN. There's a high school here, is known as Ecekeza High School. The stationery is not yet arrived. I don't understand that what is happening in Department of Education, because it is unbelievable that the stationery is not yet arrived.
Right, it's 9:30. Let's take you to the latest headlines.
Thank you, Kathy. On the news headlines, a large police contingent has been deployed to the Addington Primary School in Durban. This as various organizations continue their protest. They are calling on school management to make South African learners a priority over foreign nationals. Suspects in the theft of $580,000 at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phalaphala farm in Bilabila are expected to be back in the Modimolle Magistrate Court in Limpopo today. And the seat of Cape Town says disaster risk management teams are on standby to coordinate recovery efforts in the Masphumelele informal settlement. This follows a fire that started yesterday afternoon. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental dispute, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The citizens want to collect 3 points to emphasize that 2026 is their year.
Matthias Nunes delivers. Haaland's header! Wonderful cross. Superb header. 41st minute. Haaland's first chance.
The visitors, Wolves, plan to reveal a big strategy to shock Sir Guardiola's side.
Back in field. Tries to strike from distance. Tolo! 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 Oh my word! That is sensational!
This is the Premier League. Catch Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 24 January at 4:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC 3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Hi, good morning, Katie, and your producer and all the listeners of SAFM. Katie, I like to talk regard to what happening yesterday in that court, that shooting that is happening in Gauteng. Even if you can come here in Cape Town, Khayelitsha Court, I was trying to check last time the cameras. I couldn't find the cameras there. So, and also the park, lawyers, they use the park there. And then that park is not safe. So can you imagine the lawyers, they park their cars and come inside the court. And that parking is not safe at all. Everyone is doing in and out on that parking. So the Minister of Justice, they must go and visit all the court of South Africa and check regarding to the safety, seriously. And special the cameras, they must check if the cameras is in there or what. That is my concern here from Cape Town. Thank you.
Morning, Kathy. Morning to the listeners. I'm Kisunge. This arrest, what is happening in Malawi, is good, and you can even check people in Malawi. Most of them are happy about such arrest because they are trying to give the same medicine the past government was doing to the current government. And when we talk about the evidence, there is evidence there, and the evidence is coming. And because of the past government was not caring about people, but were just caring about it for themselves. The evidence is coming there. The evidence is coming. You will see. And most of the Malian citizens are not concerned about this such arrest. They are giving their own medicine. Thank you, Kathy. Tisu from PPE.
Hello, this is Kathy. Calling people chomi in the workplace, is that a professional language to use. I mean, you can't call a client Chomi, Baba, Mancane, Beto, you know. All those words are not really appropriate in the workplace format. I wish some organizations would train their staff the right language to use within the workplace environment. Thank you.
Morning, Kathy. You know, this thing of United States of Africa that is being pushed by some Pan-Africanists, it will be a dream, and it's an illusion. It will be a dream that will never be realized. So long as we have the leaders like Museveni and that one of Malawi and others that we know, the dream of Africa coming United States of Africa will never happen. Thanks, Mulatin Bloemfontein.
The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right. Thanks for those WhatsApp voice notes that you've been sending through. Of course, we continue on the National Roundtable. The number to dial this morning, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. Yeah, interesting voice note about appropriate language being used in the workplace. And I often think sometimes it comes down to the kind of relationships that people are able to build with each other. Because you don't want to police that, right? But you also want to ensure that the environment remains conducive and is still professional. So I don't know that you would call a client Chomi unless unless you've literally known that person since you were in primary school or high school, or they're your actual friend. But yeah, maybe there are issues of etiquette that need to be clarified, and all organizations are different. Takatayo, good morning to you.
Yes, Katie, good morning.
Yes, sir. What do you want to talk about this morning?
Today I want to talk about what happened in boys in court in Johannesburg yesterday.
Devastating.
Yes, Katie, I remember our government many times they called upon the South African citizens to make sure that whatever they notice in these streets of us, that is not right, we must impimpi. And they call upon even whistleblowers to make sure that they are not even threatened by the criminals. They must just tell whatever they notice in our communities. But now, Katie, if a public place like a court is going to be at that stage of being just attacked by the criminals, that thing is just alarming, Katie. It is alarming, Katie. Really, I don't know why our government is not maybe putting like a fence that is going to make sure that whoever that is entering a court, there is an access control like we used to do with security officers at the gate. Whoever that is entering those premises, they must just search, and they must also that machine that is getting the metals.
You know, Takatayo, I think part of the problem that we're facing here is that the courts and the precincts of the courts have been left just unattended for so long. And a lot of them are in a state of dilapidation. And that is confirmed by the court, by the justice system itself. If you look at what the former Chief Justice also had to say about, you know, the need for refurbishments of courts, the pace at which that has been taking place has simply not been good enough. I mean, if you go to a court like the Protea Magistrates Court in Soweto, it doesn't necessarily look like what the precinct of a state institution should represent, right? And that's really the fundamental issue, is that these spaces have just been left unkept for so long, and then this comes as a result of that.
A government side, you can ask yourself, how long are we going to experience these problems? It happened in Cape Town many times. For the incident that happened in Wynberg in Cape Town, our government was supposed to just pull up the socks and start noticing that the lives of the people who went to witness supposed to be protected. But my question is, how many people must die before our government spend money to make sure that our courts are not dilapidated? They are just secured.
Yeah, and it's a relevant question. It's a very relevant question. Dagatayo, let's leave it there. And one thinks about, sort of 2-3 years ago, when we had, at least as far as I can recall, when we had a shooting take place on the grounds of a court, the alarm that raised, right? And why did this happen? How could this happen? What about the way in which the system exists currently perhaps, enabled this kind of crime to take place? What happened post that alarm? What happened post that alarm? What did the officials do to improve security on court grounds? Because that warning signal was one that was also directed at witnesses, right? The idea of having a witness shot when they are coming to court to give evidence is perhaps one of the greatest ways in which justice can be undermined, because you're taking away the opportunity for this individual to go before the court and state their own case. But what was done? Loward, you're in Guyana. Good morning.
Good morning, Kathy. I'm sure that my network will hold up until I finish up my comment with my sister.
Loward, even before you start, your network is not holding up. I know you're in Guyana, so it might also be as a result of the rains. I know the weather and the floods has really affected connectivity there. But let me give you another chance before we try to call you back. Loward, go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, okay. Good morning, I'll comment. I'll talk about...
Loward, let's try to see if we can call you back. Maybe let's try call him on the WhatsApp line to see if that's not, if that doesn't improve the connectivity. Kenneth, you're in Davidton. Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call, Siskate. So I wanted you and the SF from this.
Yes, sir.
Siskate, I've got 2 points to make. I'm going to try to be as quick as I can, even though I'm not a quick speaker. Teko Modise in the studio and the panel there were agreeing after the final on Sunday to say that Sadio Mane is being respected in Senegal because of what he has won. I differ with them. People in Senegal, they respect him because of what he has done and what he's been doing for his nation. Number two, the number one citizen, public servant, President Ramaphosa, going to a flat hit Guyana wearing a mategi, shop and blue skate. I don't understand why, because I expect him to go there at Togamapu, which was going to work, He was supposed to have been ready to work. He was even outdone by an SABC reporter that I saw yesterday or day before yesterday, standing just Paragwamans wearing a mapusa. I was like, this guy knew where he was going and what he was there to do. Last one is people that are staying in informal settlements. I'm going to talk about Eguruleni. In Apex, just outside Benoni, and also in Durant Road in Petfontein, outside Davidson. People were put there, it's informal settlement. Because the area has been electrified, I think they are misinformed and the municipality is ignoring that. But they're going to have to fight with people the day they decide to put in underground infrastructure. Because once they electrify the area, people, they think that the area has now been approved. They start building proper infrastructure, their last money, hard-earned money. And the municipality is quiet about that. In Ward 96, what I'm talking about is happening in Ward 96. The councillor, the Stennis Mashala, in Petfontein, Durant Road. In Apex, outside Benoni, I don't know who the councillor is, but people are building proper houses in an informal settlement because it has been electrified. Thank you, Siskate.
Sure. David, Kenneth, quite a bit. If I can pick up on what you've said around the public imaging of our officials, and it's something that I've noted, but I found that maybe I was being unfair. Or as I thought about it, I told myself maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. But I do get a sense that there's a lot of, I don't know, just very lax attitude towards how officials feel they need to present themselves. I mean, you have officials that I saw, I can't remember who it was, but they were holding a media briefing wearing a cap. And I think it was a designer cap. And you have officials that, will be wearing branded designer jerseys, holding media briefings in branded designer jerseys. And I just, I don't want to be too harsh, but I'm also like, if you know that you are going to be undertaking official business that day, surely there is a particular way in which you must present yourself. So for instance, as much as we can criticize the Trump administration for all of its flaws, but I've never seen, an official of that administration on camera, not in a formal shirt or a jacket, or and of course contexts are different, right? And like you're saying, maybe some safety boots or rain boots, just to speak to the occasion, like be in context, because otherwise it looks like you were just here for that moment and then you left.
These people, they don't know what they're doing. Just to add another thing on what I've already said, if you go to Petfontein police station, they service Petfontein, it's plots there. There's no tar roads. Amapotos are crazy. They service Zanzai, the Mayfield Extension 1. There's no proper roads. But they'll give them Golf 7s instead of giving them Mahindras. You call the cops, they can't come there because there's no infrastructure, and then you end up blaming the cops. The cars that they're giving to them, you cannot give a Golf 7 to cops that are supposed to service a Twato Extension 27, Barcelona and Mkhoba, when you're supposed to be giving those vehicles to people that are incentive. One day, 2 years back, the cops were chasing a stolen VW Tiguan. I was at Matthew Scene just outside UNISA campus in Davidson. That those guys, they outsped them as if like they did not exist because they were driving a Golf 7. Kuna must speed ham samakule Davidson. Then they come back to us and say, "And babonanga bayet." Well, that guys, you're driving a wrong vehicle, chasing a 4x4. What were you expecting?
Sure.
Thank you,
Kenneth. Yeah, let's leave it there. And these are things that the people that are working with these officials, their advisors, they really need to be intentional. Because if you're not intentional, this is what is going to happen. So let's say if government is having a cleanup day. If you're having a cleanup day, you can't be showing up at a cleanup day in a full suit. What are you cleaning up? You must be dressed for action. You must show that you are part. You are part of what is happening, right? And these things do matter. They absolutely do matter. Let's take a quick break. I'm back with your calls.
Welcome to it. This is season 1 of Playlist happening right here at Maloka, and believe me, it's a party.
Set your reminder every Friday, 9 p.m. Playlist at Maloka is in the building.
Boschdorf, why is there a horse in your driveway?
You right, Savvy. Why drive a Mustang when you can ride one?
What the missus say?
Well, she had a bit of a long face, but now she's stable.
If you need a backup plan, We Buy Cars can sort you out.
Nah, Savvy, this thing is eco-chic.
Stop horsing around, cowboy. Rather get one of these from We Buy Cars.
What's the horsepower on that thing?
More than one, Dorf. More than one.
Don't be Dorf, be savvy. We Buy Cars. Geared for adventure, geared for you.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, we continue the conversation on the talking point. Let me go now to Parktown North. Voyiswa, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy. Thanks for taking my call. I want to speak to the education crisis due to the fact that I've been observing, and I have a cousin sister, more than 3 cousin sisters who are in the education, who are educators. And all of them, they are threatening to leave. They're so traumatized. And based on the information that we've been reading on social media last week, it kept on appearing on X that amongst the former Anglophone colonies, South Africa has taken number one to the best English-speaking country in English, something like that. I can't actually recall correctly.
What was the report, Vuyiswa?
I don't know whether it's a survey, whether it's a competition some people somewhere are running, that South Africa has become number one best speaking English country, and followed by Zimbabwe. Then there were others, and Uganda and Kenya came number 4, 5 thereabout, and then Nigeria, Ghana number 7. Yeah. So my predicament is this, Kathy, and after that there was a guy, I think he's a very influential guy in Zimbabwe. I've forgotten his first name, Kudzai or something, Kutisi. He had something there, and he was showing the pictures of how empty Zimbabwean classes are. There's one school, St. Mary's, I remember it because I went to St. Mary's Convent in London. So, and other schools, there was a St. John's school there. And they are empty. It reminded me when I started Dom Dom, we're only 12 in the class. And here my cousin sisters are telling me every time that they're teaching more than 70 children. And my question is the congestion. People are nearly eaten by crocodiles, with children, babies on the back, trying to bring their children when school starts. And my predicament is that what is the obsession if they have such good schools and they don't have numbers in the class, like my cousin sisters are running? I want to run away because of teaching 70 children. They can't cope.
So what is your question, Vuyiswa?
My question is the congestion of our neighbors, our brothers from the continent. Living classes, like the issue of them also posting to us, I was saying to Kokezo yesterday, where they will tell South Africans that I've got land. My father left me land at home. If you have land, why risk? Why come and sell drugs? Why come and do all this crime that they are doing when they have land that they are not utilizing? And to me, it's very questionable, like the school issue. Because you're burdening the educators. How can you have 70 children in the class? Okay. And lastly, it's about this African unit business. I don't know, who is behind it. Like the WhatsApp voice call that term. There is no way Africa is going to unite. I want to tell you now. Those who are promoting it are just contributing to this anarchy we're going through.
Okay,
Vuyiswa, you can't.
Let's leave it there. All right, Vuyiswa, let's leave it there. I think I've given you ample opportunity to make your point. Look, do we still need to investigate why it is that South Africa is an attractive destination on the continent? I mean, is that something that we still need to unpack? I don't think so. It's obvious why many people want to come and live in South Africa. Loward, you're in Guyana. Good morning.
Yes, Kathy.
That's much better. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, okay, man. No, this morning I want to talk about scholar transport, but particularly in Limpopo. Yes, this morning, Kathy, I stood and watched or witnessed the buses which were loading school children to 2 different schools. Because my village is bordering the Vembe region and Mopane region. So I want to commend, Kathy, the ward councillor in my ward, who managed to arrange or mobilize the community members or parents to can try and mitigate something that they can be able to do for the buses to can navigate through to both these schools. And I want to further commend the province of Limpopo for their stabilized condition in terms of scholar transport, because we've got 5 districts in Limpopo, and then all of them, I've never had any challenge or problem raised regarding the scholar transport. Unlike in the Northwest Province, where we, in the recent past, we heard about the dire situation of the scholar transport from that other side of our country. And the last one, Kathy, is to attribute all the gratitude to the Limpopo government again for the delivery or the distribution of stationery to our school children, because all of them, they have got stationery as we speak, Kathy.
Okay, Lord, I'm glad that you're seeing these signs of good service delivery from the Limpopo Education Department. Of course,
Yeah.
I think you're noting it because historically there have been some issues at the beginning of the
true.
school year. So you're saying this to note that change and to say that you see the
Yes.
change.
There is a drastic change, Kathy. So we have to commend this. We don't have to only criticize when things are not going our way, or if the government seems to be failing. But even if they are doing the right thing, we have to raise it, and then we have to commend them so that they will be prepared to do the right thing going forward, especially under the leadership of a woman premier, Dr. Pope Ramatova, and the executive. This is the right way or the right path to go in terms of development, because education it forms a central part of development in the community or in the country as such.
So do you think the change is coming in because of the new premier?
Yes, she is a workaholic of note, and then she's a doer. She's not just a rhetoric speaker, or she's a pragmatist, if I can put it that way. And then the test is in the pudding, if I've put it the right way.
Okay.
Because what she's saying, she does it. It's not a matter of being rhetoric. She's pragmatic. That's why we will be voting her back to lead this province going forward, Kathy. I'm not campaigning, but if things are going the right way, we have to continue with that trajectory.
Well, Lord, I'm sure she'd be very happy to hear the praise, not only from you, but I guess from other residents of the province who are noting these changes that you attribute specifically to her leadership. Nkandla, you're in KZN. Good morning.
Good morning, Katie. How are you?
Well, thank you, sir. What do you want to speak about?
I am interested in the discussion that is going on about Groenewald becoming the president of the Republic of South Africa, something that will never happen. The society of South Africa cannot be equated to the department. If he is contributing the way he is contributing in the correctional department, it is not South Africa. South Africa is huge, and not all of us, except those analysts that cannot analyze better, who think that Groenewald would lead South Africa.
Why do you think he can't lead, or is it a case of he shouldn't lead? What's your position?
He won't go. He won't get the necessary votes. We know who Groenewald is. He's a person who, when there was a discussion about the land question in Parliament, that there would be war if Africans get land back, because he's not prepared to give us our land back.
But Ntandla, he doesn't have to receive the majority vote. Under Government of National Unity dispensation, the partners can get together and agree on who the president should be.
There won't be the Government of National Unity after this one.
You think so?
Yes, I believe that. They won't. It was the ANC's DA agreement that there was this government of national unity, and it shall never happen. We have learned a lot about it. That the government of national unity is not uniting us at all. There's no unity in the economy. There is no unity in the social order. So there's nothing like government of national unity, and there's no unity at all.
Okay.
Grunewald, I'm told that he is saving about 1.27 million rands. You know, he's abusing the inmates. Instead of forming cooperatives to produce and participate in the economy, he prefers to use the inmates, abuse them, in fact, because he doesn't care about the poor. He doesn't care about the growth of the economy.
Nhlanhla Buthelezi, we're going to have to leave it there. I don't think it's true to say that he doesn't care about the economy. Certainly, when you see how he's expressed himself on these issues, he does care. But you're entitled to a view in as far as whether or not he should become president. But also, let's look at the numbers. How much votes would they need, right? These things don't happen magically overnight, especially if we're not looking within the context of a coalition or government of national unity. It's time for the latest news update.
Thank you, Kathy. On the top stories, police deployed to Addington Primary School in Durban and suspects in the Phala farm theft expected back in court today. For SAFM News, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good morning. A large police contingent has been deployed to the Addington Primary School in Durban. This as various organizations continue their protest. They are calling on school management to make South African learners a priority over foreign nationals. Supporters of the lobby group movement March and March, as well as the Umkhonto weSizwe Party, alleged 60 South African learners, including 40 from families displaced in the 2022 floods, have applied enrollment but have not placed. Operation Tudula is also expected to join the protest. Jade Paulser reports.
The civic organizations are saying that no, this cannot be the case, that South Africans are not being prioritized at many of the schools here in Durban, and that they need to go back to the drawing board and implement a resolution that will assist South Africans, saying that of these children at the school, 90% of the learners at Addington Primary School are foreign nationals. So, Leanne, today we are expecting to see provocation like we saw last week.
Suspects in the theft of $580,000 at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phala farm in Belabila are expected to be back in the Modimolle Magistrate Court in Limpopo today. Emanuela David and the co-accused, who are siblings Floriana and Delina Shaw Joseph, allegedly stole about 10 million rand in US dollars stuffed in a sofa at the farm in February 2020. A cell phone data analyst testified that the accused were on the farm on the day of the break-in. The court also heard that David travelled from Cape Town to Belabila a day before the theft. The data analyst is expected to continue his testimony. Police in the Western Cape say they're still questioning several people in connection with the mass shooting in the Marikana informal settlement in Philippi East on the Cape Flats. 6 people were killed at a shebeen in the area at the weekend. 1 person died on the way to hospital, while the 8th person died after being admitted. Police spokesperson Novella Potelwa says no one has been charged in connection with the killings. Investigations are continuing. The City of Cape Town says disaster risk management teams are on standby to coordinate recovery efforts in the Masiphumelele informal settlement. This follows a fire that started yesterday afternoon. The blaze has since been brought under control. Multiple structures have been destroyed. The city spokesperson Charlotte Powell.
Recovery efforts will begin once the fire and rescue service deems the site safe for other city services to conduct assessments on damaged infrastructure and for the debris to be cleared by the solid waste department. Gift of the Givers are on scene to assist with the immediate soft relief needs for displaced persons. Once all the details have been recorded, it will be submitted to SASSA, the Provincial Department of Social Development, and the National Department of Human Settlements for relief from their side.
U.S. President Donald Trump is on his way to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, on a smaller plane. The aircraft departed more than 2 hours after the initial flight landed safely on Air Force One at Joint Base Andrews near Washington following a technical glitch. Trump's desire to annex Greenland has dominated the forum, which includes a delegation from South Africa. The BBC's Sarah Smith reports.
When Donald Trump lands in Davos later today, he can expect a chilly reception from world leaders firmly opposed to his ambition to annex Greenland. Asked by the BBC if the breakup of NATO was a price he was willing to pay for Greenland, President Trump seemed oblivious to the hostility his threats have generated, saying, "I think we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy." Asked how far he was prepared to go to acquire the Arctic territory, he said simply, "You'll find out." He's bound to be asked the same question in the many meetings he says he has scheduled about Greenland in Davos.
Recapping the top story, a large police contingent has been deployed to the Addington Primary School in Durban. This as various organizations continue their protest. They are calling on school management to make South African learners a priority over foreign nationals. I'm on the Lambada for SFM News Headlines at 10:30.
When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Earn up to 7.35% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account. Access your money within 24 hours. Keep your money agile. Get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The thirst for maximum points has kicked in. Ziga Mambo and Amakosi are both looking for first victory in Group D. This is the bottom of the table contest of the CAF Confederation Cup. Witness the Southern African Derby. Zesco United clashes with Kaizer Chiefs on Sunday, 25 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Wherever you are in the world, SAFM 104 to 107 is accessible. We're also streaming live on Facebook, X, and YouTube at SAFM Radio. We acknowledge and appreciate everyone tuning in and watching our streams. Stay with SAFM 104 to 107 as we bring you Commission Live, breaking stories, and thought-provoking lectures. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, it's 7 after 10 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of the show. We're still leading conversations that move us right here on the Talking Point. Coming up in this hour, we're going to be focusing on NSFAS, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. Yeah, thank you guys. I've noted the WhatsApp messages that started coming in just ahead of news. We will be giving you an opportunity to also ask Ishmael Mnisi some questions, so please hang 10 for that. In the meantime, though, different issues being raised on the National Roundtable. Let's take you to your voice notes from the open line.
Dumela Sasketi, I'm responding to a voice note that said people will call you Chomi at work. I think here in the Eastern Cape, it's a norm, or I don't think it's a culture, maybe it's a norm, that you will be called Chomi, whether you are a client or you are rendering a service. A person will just call you Chomi. At first I was a bit concerned, but now because I've been here for over maybe 4 or 5 years, I'm now used to it. But yeah, you'll be called Chomi. It does not bother me anymore. Yeah, Eastern Cape. In the Eastern Cape, East London.
Molo Mshahleko. You know, I'm happy that there's this listener who raised the complaint about people calling other people Chomi in the workplace. By the way, even if it's not in the workplace, you know, I stayed in Makosini, that is in the former Sky, for 5 years. And I'll go to the supermarket. And these woman cashiers will say, Molo Chomi. I'll just immediately wash that away. I'll say, look, I am not your Chomi. Understand me? I am not your Chomi. Never. I don't know you.
Good morning, Sis Kathy. Louis from Pretoria. What happened yesterday in Joburg? It is the foundation that was laid by the ANC. The ANC government, many of our leaders today, they are in higher position because of killing other people. They kill each other. They even kill witnesses. So this is the foundation that was laid by the ANC. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. And we expect the ANC government, we expect Ramaphosa to act. We expect him to change the situations in our courts because of many of them today. You expect a murderer to change the situation. It's not going to happen.
Hi, Kathy. Joe from Durban. It's now clear evidence of the Starlink interference and smuggling in of 40,000 Starlink units to help destabilize Iran, coup, regime change, etc., provide the GPS coordinates for Israel and USA to attack, etc. And therefore the dangers of the same thing here in South Africa, providing a monopoly to control content, GPS coordinates, etc., and using subsidies, etc., to wipe out the competition and become the main player, owned by a right-wing fascist, and the dangers of Starlink. Imagine the West using it for secession in the Western Cape, not far-fetched at all, and it's coming.
Siskhathi, hi, well, this is JCK Kaunda from Sina. Siskhathi, what is happening back home in Malawi? It's good. It's thumbs up. Siskhathi, you can't fight crime not knowing who is in the country and who is out of the country. Our government is just sleeping on duty. Hey, you write matric, ulil banditi, you watch TV. No wonder these men say bang next. They do as they wish because they know their life is going to be pashasha in hotels while in prison. During apartheid, that was not happening. You know, or ul banditi, you are a bandit. But today, umanale exam. What a hell. Let me rest my case for now. JCK Kaunda from Sina.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
The citizens want to collect 3 points to emphasize that 2026 is their year.
Matthias Nunes delivers. Haaland's header! Wonderful cross. Superb header. 41st minute. Haaland's first chance.
The visitors, Wolves, plan to reveal a big strategy to shock Sir Guardiola's side.
Mane comes back in field. Tries to strike from distance. Tolo! 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 Oh my word! That is sensational!
This is the Premier League. Catch Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 24 January at 4:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC 3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Wondering why 45-year-old Nivan has such a big smile lately?
Outsurance. Saved me so much money. 461 rand.
That's right. With Outsurance, Nivan saves an amazing 461 rand a month on his 2025 VWT Cross. And after 3 claim-free years, he gets an out bonus.
So much money.
How much money could Outsurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Kathy Mutlatlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
All right, let's get into our Citizens Corner for today. And NSFAS is in the hot or the warm seat. Ishmael Mnisi is the spokesperson for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. Ishmael, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kathy, and to the listeners. I'm in the warm seat.
I was going to ask, what's the temperature of the seat, Ishmael?
Definitely warm and not hot today.
And I'm glad that it's starting off on a warm note. Let's hope it remains warm until 11 o'clock. So, Ishmael, it's the beginning of a brand new academic year. And certainly I want to begin this conversation with firstly acknowledging the process that NSFAS has been undergoing from a leadership point of view, right? We know that there have been issues of governance instability that led to the institution being put under administration. The contract with the previous administrator, Freeman Nomvalo, has come to an end. Let's talk about the status of governance of NSFAS before we get into the nitty-gritty of now students and funding allocations and all of the issues that will come as a result of that.
No, thank you very much, Kathy, for that important question. Kathy, you'd recall that early last year in I think it was around February, March, there was an announcement of a new board which took over from the administrative processes that was led by Mr. Freeman Nomvalo, as you were saying. We have a full complement of the board led by the acting chairperson at the moment, Dr. Mgwena Maluleke. And the board is stratified, in terms of various committees that are looking at various competencies of NSFAS to make sure that they support management on the work that ought to be done by the entity. Of course, they've got their own timetable of meeting as per the NSFAS Act, and available at any point in time when NSFAS needs to, or management needs to engage them on various aspects. And also that governance structure is extended by the involvement of our Department of Higher Education and Training. We've got an active minister and the deputy ministers who from time to time gets briefing in terms of the work that we are doing, and also in the political context supports that work, which gives that confidence, and it gives that confidence to the board itself to be able to implement its work. And I must include that the relationship that the board has with management is very much cordial. And we're working very well with the board, as I said, through these subcommittees to make sure that we are held accountable at that level. And of course, you would know that we do account as well to Parliament, and from time to time will appear in that house through our portfolio committee for us to account to the public. Okay. So we are indeed in a very good space as NSFAS compared that many other years before in terms of the stability of governance.
And so you have a fully constituted board, an acting chairperson, and in as far as the CEO is concerned, is he still acting too?
Yes, of course. We still have Mr. Wasim Karim as the acting CEO.
Are there any concerns, Ishmael, around this? Because, of course, part of what it communicates is still a continued sense of there sort of is no certainty right? Because in these acting positions, anything can happen, A person can be moved tomorrow. Is that in any way influencing? So these acting positions, are they in any way influencing how these leaders are able to execute their functions, or even that sense of stability in the organization? We know that somebody who's in an acting position and somebody who's appointed to a position, they don't behave in the same way.
Maybe let's start it here, Kathy, to say that acting appointments and the acting person has the full authority and responsibility of a substantive person in the area of work that they're supposed to do. So you act with the full authority or capacity. The only difference, of course, is that there has not been a legitimized process to appoint a substantive leader or a person in that position. But in terms of performance, you are, provided the necessary support by the management team, by the board, by the sector itself. In our instance, when our acting CEO engages with stakeholders, he's the CEO of NSFAS. Let alone that we would say is acting, but the capacity there is equivalent to a typical substantive person. That also goes with the board chair. The principle applies the same. And what is also important is that in terms of continuity, there is what we call in a hand over report. When a leader currently acts in an acting capacity, they've got a fiduciary responsibility to hand over to the next incumbent. Because the understanding and the agreement when you act is that that process must take place. And what is comforting to us, even in the both positions of acting chairperson and acting CEO, is the fact that the acting chairperson is a member of the board of NSFAS. So even if there would be a substantive chairperson, Dr. Maluleke will still be a member, and he acted even now because he's still a member and appointed last year, and he's got the full understanding and capacity to deal with issues that affect NSFAS. So capacity there is not an issue. When you look at Mr. Karim as the acting CEO, also his substantive position, he deals with is the CFO of NSFAS. Now, he is not. There are not people brought outside to come and act temporarily and be removed. They are within the system. They understand the NSFAS way of doing things, the longer perspective as in our strategic document. So we are not worried at the moment in terms of that. But to prove that it has worked well for NSFAS, you know that we managed to fulfill all the obligations in terms of the registration campaign that we have had. We're sitting for many years that we have not managed to give results before end of the year. We have done it in 2025 with this acting position in our as our heads. So it shows that what is important is the capacity of the leaders to do their work. It's not more about whether they are acting or not.
No, and I hear you, Ishmael. It's fair enough. I guess for me, it's also around the stabilization of NSFAS, because as long as the situation continues on a short-term basis to stabilize the entity, where you don't want to have it go on for too long, as this could have its own governance and performance risks. As you're saying, the current acting CEO is also the CFO. So it's just issues that I wanted to understand in terms of where the organization is on these matters. So looking at the reporting then that you have done, I mean, it really is. It's incredible that we enter the year 2026, and if if my math is correct, Ishmael, we now have over 1 million students that are on NSFAS funding to further their education. Is my maths correct?
Yes, you are very correct, Kathy. If you consider the fact that currently we announced that we have given results of, NSFAS has approved more than 609,000 applications, and we are still finalizing about 203 applications which are still in progress. So collectively, you are around 800,000. Now, if you, of the new applicants, by the way, if you then consider that we are still going to fund the current students, we then look at around 1 million plus of students that NSFAS supports annually.
How much is all of this costing the organization and the state?
Look, our budget, if you look at last year, we had a budget of approximately 56 billion, which 90% of that budget gets used to fund students, and the 10% is money that we are running the institution about. So running an organization such as NSFAS costs the taxpayer around that amount.
Sorry, cost the taxpayer around which are around 10% of
around 56 billion per annum. If you look at what were appropriated in 2025, it was around that figure. So I was giving the stratification in terms of what goes into funding the core business of NSFAS. So I was saying 90% goes into the core business, and about 10% of it goes into administrative related matters.
Look, it is a lot of money, undoubtedly, and I wonder, when you as an organization sit and reflect on the ways in which you're deriving value, right, from these funds. Of course, it's important that we have young people who are able to access higher education, but we all know and understand the current landscape of the South African workplace, the skills gap that we're often told about, the skills mismatch that we're also told about. So I want to know, how does that feed into the funding choices that NSFAS is making? Because this is really a very big, very necessary, very important investment. But are you deriving the best value for money with this investment?
Kathy, generally, NSFAS is changing the lives of many South Africans. You would understand that the students who apply for NSFAS, they are coming from destitute families. They are coming from families whose income threshold for both parents is less than 350,000 per annum. Now, that on its own.
Hello, Ishmael?
Families. Yes, Kathy.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a short while there. You can continue. All right, I'm not sure what is happening with that connection to Ishmael Mnisi, but we'll continue with him shortly. He's the spokesperson for NSFAS, and we're really then just trying to understand the state the organization is in as we begin a brand new schooling year. Certainly it sounds like they're entering the 2026 academic year on more stable footing from a governance point of view and a leadership point of view. They've also been able to settle and conclude the funding decisions for the 2026 academic year. And, it is incredible for us as a country that we are able to fund as many students as we currently are via NSFAS. And it is I think it's such an important thing, and it just takes one back to the fees protests that the young people of this country held over 10 years ago, right? Because we just marked a decade of those fees protests just in the last year. It's incredible that we're able to continue growing the numbers of young people who can access it. But it also matters that we're able to sit down and measure the impact of this investment. We'll continue the conversation with Ishmael shortly. For now, it's 10:30. Let's take your latest news headlines.
Thank you, Kathy. On the news headlines, the circumstances surrounding yesterday's shooting incident at the Booysens Magistrates Court in Johannesburg remain unclear. A large police contingent has been deployed to the Addington Primary School in Durban. This as various organizations continue their protest. And US President Donald Trump is on his way to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland on a smaller plane. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 16 rand 36 to the dollar, 21 rand 97 to the pound, and 19 rand 16 to the euro. Markets in Asia were mixed at the closing bell. The JSE mainly higher during mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe are trading weaker. Gold is trading at $4,859. Platinum at $2,456 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $63.95 a barrel.
Welcome to it. This is season 1 of Playlist happening right here at Maloka, and believe me, it's a party.
Set your reminder every Friday, 9 p.m. Playlist at Maloka is in the building.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
Well, we continue the conversation on the Talking Point. For Citizens Corner today, we're zooming in on the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. On the line is the spokesperson for the organization, Ishmael Mnisi. So, Ishmael, one of the issues that those that are beneficiaries of NSFAS tend to struggle with is around the appeals. You talked about just over 200,000 applications that you are still having to work through and resolve. And of course, the appeals window opens as outcomes are communicated, right, to those that have applied, either notifying them that they were rejected and giving the reasons, maybe even why they have been rejected. What is the current status of the appeals window?
Kathy, the status and the processes for all applicants to appeal, they are given automatically. When you apply and you're getting rejected, you are given 30 days to lodge an appeal. And within a given period of time, NSFAS will revert back to you in terms of the outcome of that appeal. What is critical is that students ought to comply to that time period of 30 days for them to submit the necessary supporting documents so that NSFAS can look at that. Systematically, we have what we call an appeals button that gets provided to each student who needs to lodge an appeal. And when that appeals button is still available, or you can see it and still click and lodge the appeal, it means you are still within the time frames. When the appeals button has disappeared, it means your 30 days grace period has elapsed. And therefore, you don't have any opportunity anymore for you to lodge an appeal. And that is the most critical thing. And the challenges that faces many students is that they stay too long for them to respond to the NSFAS communication regarding the appeals, and at the time when they want to appeal, only to realize that the appeals button is no more there. So they would have forfeited an opportunity for them to for the application to be relooked by a panel within NSFAS.
And when you look at the number of applications that are sitting under the appeals process, do you have an indication of how many students would be affected by that?
Well, it's an ongoing process, but if you look at the numbers that we provided earlier of around 200,000 of, the numbers that we are still processing, those, if they are not successful, they will qualify for the appeal. If you look at the numbers, we have got about 59,568 students who have been rejected after our rigorous reviews. Those students have that opportunity to appeal. We will be ramping up all the applications on appeal that we would have received, but as I'm saying, the system gets changed every day. Others, they do lodge appeals, they withdraw. Others, we give them an opportunity. Also, if they've been rejected for a bursary, to apply for a loan. So others would then opt for a loan option, because of if you qualify for the loan, if your threshold income of the joint income of your parents is between 350 to 600,000, you have an opportunity to apply for an NSFAS loan. So the numbers changed continuously, but at a particular point, NSFAS will be able to come public and indicate how many appeals we have received, considered, and how many still were unsuccessful.
When it comes to February and March, Ishmael, we often run into problems because this is when the disbursements at an institutional level are also taking place. And, this is where students are waiting for monies to buy their buy their books, take care of meals, travel, etc., etc. This has been a big problem. How are you ensuring that it doesn't happen again in 2026 in the way that it has previously?
Well, NSFAS has engaged with our institutions, both universities and TVET colleges, and we have agreed on fixed timelines for information to be submitted to NSFAS, because if you look at the engagement between ourselves and institutions, mostly it's about the exchange of data. How quick can we communicate, exchange data, and for decisions to be made? I'll make an example. We agreed that results for continuing students for 2025 were supposed to be submitted by the 15th of December, and majority of institutions submitted. And hence we are able to finalize in as far as the continuing students. And if you look at the university admission lists, because it's very, very critical that NSFAS have that. The deadline was on the 31st of December, and the universities did submit with, of course, there are those that were delayed, but NSFAS is engaging with them. And we have improved on our registration portal, where we opened on the 5th of January, and we were waiting for the matric results. Now that we have them, we are working on that. But also to deal with all these delays that might occur, unplanned delays. As NSFAS, we have committed to make an upfront payment to universities and TVET colleges by the 1st of February, just to make sure that should it happen, that there are certain delays at an institutional level or in the exchange of data, students must be catered for, and the upfront payment is made particularly to deal with those kind of emergencies, whilst we're waiting for the registration cutoff dates and the disbursements that fully will be ran around end of February this year. So we are well prepared, Kathy. We don't expect that we will have administrative blockages if we all keep up to the programs or the timetable that we have agreed with both our universities and TVET colleges.
One last question before I bring in our listeners and students, because they've already started texting their questions, and we'll take the WhatsApp voice notes and calls too. The question of student accommodation, Ishmael, and the payment disputes with landlords, that has been going on for about 3 years, if memory serves correct, where there have been these outstanding balances to landlords, and much of it reached a peak between 2024 and 2025. And I know that the previous administrator, really tried to ensure that this matter is resolved. Where do things stand today as we start the 2026 academic year?
Well, Kathy, we have developed a framework which we have canvassed with our institutions. And this framework, basically, it's meant to clarify the responsibilities that will be accorded to NSFAS and that which will be accorded to institutions which are providing accommodation and also private accommodation providers. It's very important, a framework which, if implemented fully, would not have challenges of accommodation. But at the crux of the challenge that we have in student accommodation is the issue of the accreditation of private accommodation providers. Because the principle is that if an accommodation establishment is not accredited with NSFAS, it will not be paid. It doesn't qualify because we pay according to the grades that are given to landlords or accommodation establishment. Now, if your accommodation is not accredited, there is no quantum of money that NSFAS would know that it will have to provide that accommodation establishment. However, what we are doing, if all is complied with in terms of that, we have spoken to the institutions. One, that we are going to align all accommodation dates, including the opening, the closing, the moving in and moving out periods intrinsically with the academic calendar to prevent students from being stranded at any point during the academic year. And also, we are upgrading the accommodation portal to ensure that students who apply for accommodation, they are able to track their application, accept the status, and also log on maintenance issues there and all those kind of things, which we believe that it will help us to deal with the challenges of student accommodation. And in terms of payment, we are introducing a robust data-driven reporting and reconciliation process, which will ensure that private accommodation providers, when they bill NSFAS, they're billing it correctly, but there will be data supporting their billing. So if they provide an invoice, we would know that as accommodation X has this number of NSFAS students, who are they? And then we'll be able to appropriately advance payment to that. All that we are appealing for is for all parties to keep up to the spirit of the framework so that there are no delays in terms of payments. That goes for students. They must ensure that they sign the agreement with landlords, and that agreement is the one that will determine whether NSFAS contracts on their behalf with the landlord or not. If the agreement is not there, it therefore means NSFAS is not committing to the payment because there would not be evidence of an agreement between ourselves and landlords. And also to appeal to landlords as well, that they must always ensure that they give us the data that is required in terms of the templates that we would provide.
Okay, all right. Ishmael, I've got so many questions. So what I'm going to ask from our listeners, if you're a caller, please try and keep it as short as possible, including with the WhatsApp voice notes too. But let me start with the text messages that have started coming in. This student says they haven't received their funding for an entire semester, despite being registered and part of the scheme. They didn't receive any funding last year. They've tried contacting NSFAS multiple times, but no communication back from NSFAS. This student is studying at Elangeni TVET College. And, they further say that they've been struggling financially, and this funding is crucial for them to continue their studies. What's your response to that, Ishmael?
Thank you, Kathy. May I request the student to urgently contact their financial aid officers at the college? We are sending our servicing administrators to all institutions. So there will be somebody dedicated to Elangeni and the surrounding institutions in that region. So please, can the student do that? And then the college will be able to contact NSFAS so that we can look at the reasons why a student has not been paid for the entire year. I don't want to speculate at the moment what the challenges are, but I know that with TVET colleges, because of we pay them directly, experience has taught us that some students, they don't provide the correct banking details. And when we're trying to reach out to them to say, give us the appropriate information, we sometimes don't get feedback. But as I'm saying, I would not speculate except to ask for the student to contact their institution, and our servicing administrators will be able to respond.
But Ishmael, if this student has been trying to reach out to you, does that not mean that directly to you, does that not mean that the internal processes with the institution that they've been trying to follow up have not yielded results?
Kathy, there are many facets to the reaching out. The reason why I'm saying, the student must go to the institution is because of their dedicated people that at an institutional level, reinforced by NSFAS employees there, will be able to instantly respond to challenges that affects a particular institution. That's why the reference. However, NSFAS has got mechanisms that we've provided students to contact us. For an example, we said they must use their My NSFAS account, which is the primary account where when they communicate to us from that account, we are able to know the student and be able to respond instantly. So I'm not so sure which method of communication the student has been trying to reach us and so on. We do also have a call center, which I can share the number that students can call us between 8:30 to 7 o'clock, to 5 o'clock every day. The unfortunate part is that our call center gets congested, especially during this period, and they will have to wait longer. So that's why we are always saying it's safe to use the My NSFAS account. It's quite swift, and then they will then be able to be attended.
Monde Ingabecha says, my son wrote matric last year. We applied for NSFAS around September 2025. When the results were released in early Jan, we noticed that when we checked on NSFAS, he was provisionally funded. The Central University of Technology in Bloemfontein has admitted him to study electrical engineering. But last week, they received a statement from CUT to make a payment of 14,000 Rand. He's asking, what must they do?
Okay. Let me explain the provisionally funded status. If any student has that status, funding status, it means that they basically meet the requirements and are likely to be funded by NSFAS pending the final confirmation from their institution. So we give that as a status to say, once NSFAS received the registration data from your institution, the status gets changed to funded. So in that instance, you might find that Monde, we have not received the data from your university that indicates that you are a student there. I might also advise Monde to check with the institution if whether they have submitted the registration data that contains their information. If that data is there, the administrators at the university, together with our servicing administrators, as I've said, we have deployed throughout our universities and TVET colleges since last week, will be able to attend to Monday Square problems.
Christine says, I'm an adult who want to study for a degree. I've applied to NSFAS for funding and was told a form is outstanding. I've tried to upload the document, but I'm struggling to do that. And, you know, the consent form also requires a guardian. And, you know, Christine's parents died a long time ago. And given the fact that she's an adult, does she still need to fill in a guardian form?
Well, in terms of our requirement, what we would require for her is to sign an NSFAS declaration form, which must be completed by the social worker, who will indicate whether the adult in question information as provided is correct. And the consent form is completed by an applicant or a parent or a guardian or a spouse of that particular individual. Now, if the applicant has a spouse, the spouse can sign the consent form. And I must indicate that this is for non-SASSA applicants. If the applicant does not receive SASSA, if the applicant receives SASSA, they don't have to submit these forms. And again, Kathy, the method of submission of these forms, we, through this account which I've spoken about, it is a mechanism for us to, they are able to load documents there. And a majority of applicants, if, you know, when they battle to submit, it's that they might not be using the correct methodology to upload documents, which our application form guides them to do. So we request that they upload in a format that has been provided, because we are providing all the guidelines on how to upload a document and how they must ensure that it is being sent.
Let's pause it there. We'll continue shortly.
What if your child could achieve better academic results in 2026? At Teneo School, they can. Our smart school system tracks every learner in real time and helps teachers spot gaps early. The results? With over 3,500 successful Teneo School matriculants, learners improve their average marks by 12% in the first year. Access affordable private schooling, no restrictive entry, fees starting from 3,000 Rand per month. Enroll now for 2026 at teneoschool.co.za. That's TENEO school.co.za.
Explore your study potential with free gifts from Vodacom, like the Huawei Pura 80 Pro from just 889 per month over 36 months on a 3 gig Red Core plan. Comes with a free Huawei Watch Fit 4 worth 2,999. Plus, get 5 gigs YouTube data for 3 months and 2 months free YouTube Premium. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Good morning, Kathy. Thank you for the lovely show. Could you please ask your guest in the studio if NSFAS does fund the foreign students who produce affidavits, seeing that they are entitled to everything in our country? Anonymous, thank you.
All right, Ishmael, there's a question for you.
NSFAS only funds South Africans.
I've got a question here. It says NSFAS needs to get its house in order. I used to pay my debt for a while, and when I requested a statement, I was sent an incorrect one that suggested I hadn't made any payments, and NSFAS said I earn above the threshold. I was retrenched in 2020, haven't worked since. Where do they get information from? I appealed, they're not answering. Even last year, I had the same problem with my son, and now he's unable to register because of last year's debt.
Okay, Kathy, in terms of NSFAS has got a recovering process where if we have funded you before as a loan applicant, you'd recall that before the transition from a loan to a bursary, we would from time to time bill those that would have made those that would have received. We acknowledge that there was a time when our systems were not working properly, but we are now in a position to deal with the issues relating to the recoveries. And my ask is that the caller can send an email to recoveries@nsfas.org.za, and then the team will then be able to engage with the former student or the parent currently, so that we can look at their account and advise them appropriately.
Ishmael, a lot of the requests that I've just gone through, messages that have been sent through, are around people being unable to register because on the system it shows their balances as owing from the previous year. How do you deal with this?
If they are NSFAS approved student, Kathy, that shouldn't be an issue because we have settled all the bills that were provided by institutions to NSFAS. Now, again, we would urge that students go to back to their universities. We do have people there, Kathy, I can assure you, that are working with the institutions to assist them with all the NSFAS related matters. Should it happen that the NSFAS did not pay any other outstanding funds, we will look at that. Again, I don't want to make assumptions as to the reasons why some of the bills were not settled, but I will make a reference to one instance where we had a student who the enrollment fees were provided to NSFAS as being of a particular value. If, say, for example, the university says your student NSFAS tuition and other things will cost 100,000, NSFAS advances 100,000 to the institution, only to find out later students engage in other financial transactions with the universities. Either they pay for additional modules, they make certain changes, and those changes are not entered into. Only at the point where the student must re-register into an institution, they then discover that probably they still need to pay a 10,000 or a particular amount of money, which accrued as a result of later commitment after NSFAS has paid.
Okay.
But as I'm saying, we will deal with the issues at an institutional level so that we can give the correct diagnostics to that particular student.
All right. Terry, good morning to you.
Morning, Katie. Mine is of a plead with Mr. and Miss. My niece applied or was promised by the relative that she applied for her, only to find out that was never done. When we asked, she said she couldn't upload the documents. But my plea now, is there any way that during the year that the portal will open again? Because my brother cannot afford this 46,000 that is asked for, which is a fee.
Sorry, just repeat the last part, Terry.
I'm saying the person that applied for eventually found out she didn't complete the application. So this child is sitting with a debt of 46,000 now. She has been accepted at the university already, but now she cannot afford to pay this outstanding amount. Is there any opportunity that will happen during the course of the year whereby the portal will open again so that they can reapply?
Sure. Ishmael?
There are no plans, Terry, at the moment to extend the application period for 2026. We are working on our plans for 2027. So we are unlikely to really open for this academic year. But Kathy, just to assist Terry and the listeners, students must use the MyNSFAS account to track their application status, to upload documents there, to update their contact details, and to submit inquiries or appeals. And we request them, because this is linked to our NSFAS website. If they go in there, we will be able to swiftly address their concerns, because if there are challenges regarding the uploading of documents, they would then send us a message to say, I can't upload documents. And our call center agents will call them and help them to with that problem. If they do not engage through that platform, and they wait for the call center, as I'm saying, we get undated there with calls. It will take them longer for them to get a feedback and from us. It might be time consuming. So, but we
Ishmael? All right, we've lost Ishmael on the line there. But I think that he's been able to deal with the questions that many of you have posed to him. Let's start here. Take up the advice that NSFAS has given where you are having issues. If those issues persist, then we will have him back on the show to explain why things are not happening in the way that he believes they should, according to how they understand the system is working. It's 11 o'clock. Here's your latest news update.
Thank you, Kathy. On the top stories, no clarity on Booysens Magistrate Court shooting yesterday and police deployed to Addington Primary School in Durban. For SAFM News, I'm Ondilambana and a very good morning. The circumstances surrounding yesterday's shooting incident at the Booysens Magistrates Court remain unclear. Deputy Justice Minister Andries Nel says security measures will be significantly heightened across the country's courts. 2 people were killed and 3 others wounded. Nel says his department is collaborating with law enforcement in ensuring that safety measures are tightened.
So the key point here is that we have a collective duty as government and as society to ensure that our courts of law are places of safety where both those who work there as well as members of the public can come with confidence to see justice being served. Because this incident and the others didn't take place in the court. It took place in parking lots and on the street. Now, we are engaging there with the police to up visible policing. We're also exploring how we can make greater use of crime wardens and how we can employ technological means in the form of expanded CCTV coverage.
A preschool teacher in Shitlelani village near Malamulele in Limpopo has been killed. Police spokesperson Malisela Lidwaba says he was killed allegedly by her husband. Lidwaba says officers have launched a manhunt for the suspect.
The deceased husband is currently nowhere to be found. Police are calling upon Ngoni Zashe Sibanda, a Zimbabwean national, to present himself at the nearest police station, as it is believed that he can assist police with the ongoing investigation.
A large police contingent has been deployed to the Addington Primary School in Durban. This as various organizations continue their protest. They are calling on school management to make South African learners a priority over foreign nationals. Supporters of the lobby group movement March and March, as well as the Umkhonto weSizwe Party, allege 60 South African learners, including 40 from families displaced in the 2022 floods, have applied for enrollment but have not been placed. Operation Dudula is also expected to join the protest. Jade Polser reports.
The civic organizations are saying that no, this cannot be the case, that South Africans are not being prioritized at many of the schools here in Durban, and that they need to go back to the drawing board and implement a resolution that will assist South Africans, saying that of these children at the school, 90% of the learners at Addington Primary School are foreign nationals. So, Leanne, today we are expecting to see provocation like we saw last week.
3 people have died while 5 are injured in a multiple vehicle pileup on the R63 road near Debenek outside Gqonce in the Eastern Cape. The Provincial Transport Department says the crash happened yesterday. It says 2 vehicles were travelling from Middle Drift and the third from Gqonce. The deceased were a man and the injured were taken to Grey Hospital in Gqonce. Police have opened a case of culpable homicide and negligent driving. The department spokesperson Unati Bingose.
We can confirm the death of these 3 people from this crash
that happened on the R63 near Timbaza. And unfortunately, 5 others sustained serious injuries and were rushed to hospital in King Williamstown. We wish to extend our sincere word of condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones in this crash, while wishing those in hospital a speedy and a full recovery.
US President Donald Trump is on his way to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland on a smaller plane. The aircraft departed more than 2 hours after the initial flight landed safely on Air Force One at Joint Base Andrews near Washington following a technical glitch. Trump's desire to annex Greenland has dominated the forum, which includes a delegation from South Africa. The BBC's Sarah Smith reports.
When Donald Trump lands in Davos later today, he can expect a chilly reception from world leaders firmly opposed to his ambition to annex Greenland. Asked by the BBC if the breakup of NATO was a price he was willing to pay for Greenland, President Trump seemed oblivious to the hostility his threats have generated, saying, "I think we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy." Asked how far he was prepared to go to acquire the Arctic territory, he said simply, "You'll find out." He's bound to be asked the same question in the many meetings he says he has scheduled about Greenland in Davos.
Recapping the top story, the circumstances surrounding yesterday's shooting incident at the Boysens Magistrates Court remain unclear. Deputy Justice Minister Andries Nel says security measures will be significantly heightened across the country's courts. I'm Ondela Mbana for SFM News headlines at 11:30 with Utsile Saku.
Babilanoko want to rubber stamp that kumnandi in the top half, while Ezimnyama Ngenkani are highly spirited to make this their season to shine. This is the Bigway Premiership. Nisekazini forever. Catch Skukune United versus Orlando Pirates on Saturday, 24 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Sanibonani Dumelang Absheni Lochani Mzansi igama lam nguzanele untomdodwa uzinhluzalta, but you can simply call me Uzanele Mthombeni. I am your new host, Khona yi Ekaslami, the TV show that profiles some of your absolute faves, celebrities. I'm talking when an actor, musician, bona, politician, benekan zonke bonke zikhona, and we take them to Ekasi and find out who exactly they were before all the glitz, glam, lights, cameras, and action. Oh, baye uzi.
Uzi umutokulayo. Kula kamnandi.
Ekaslami, Tuesday at 6 on SABC One. Mzansi for sure.
For 90 years, one voice has informed, challenged, and connected a nation. SAFM, South Africa's national English public radio station. Established in 1936 as the SABC's very first service, the A program, evolving through the English service, Radio South Africa, to SAFM in 1995, shaping thought and strengthening democracy. From a full-spectrum station to a trusted home of news and talk, SAFM continues to lead the conversations 90 years strong. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Sanibonani Dumelang Absheni Lochani Mzansi igama lam nguzanele untomdodwa uzinhluzalta, but you can simply call me Uzanele Mthombeni. I am your new host, Khona yi Ekaslami, the TV show that profiles some of your absolute faves, celebrities. I'm talking when an actor, musician, bona, politician, benekan zonke bonke zikhona, and we take them to Ekasi and find out who exactly they were before all the glitz, glam, lights, cameras, and action. Oh, baye uzi.
Uzi umutokulayo. Kula kamnandi.
Ekaslami, Tuesday at 6 on SABC One. Mzansi for sure.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
A space where generations come together in conversation that seek to spark curiosity, inspire innovation, and feed the curious mind. For arts, culture, and robust conversations, join me every weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga as we explore the stories, lessons, and conversations that guide us back to self.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The thirst for maximum points has kicked in. Ziga Mambo and Amakosi are both looking for first victory in Group D. This is the bottom of the table contest of the CAF Confederation Cup. Witness the Southern African Derby, Zesco United clashes with Kaizer Chiefs on Sunday, 25 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC 1. Then on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, it is 11 after 11 o'clock. We continue the conversation on the Talking Point. For this hour, we're going to be taking you back to Parliament. This is where the SAPS Ad Hoc Committee is it's continuing to hold its investigations into allegations of interference within the SAPS, and the person giving evidence is the former Independent Police Investigative Directorate head, that is Robert McBride. So let's take you then into that particular ad hoc committee's work.
To the issues within the IPID, but I'll talk about you first. How long have you known Mr. Paul O'Sullivan? If you can reflect on that.
I've known him since 2014 when I was appointed to IPID, and I met him in response to his provocation about what IPID's predecessor had done to him, and I thought I didn't need somebody harassing me about something that is not my business. It happened during ICD. It's a totally different animal that I was heading now. So from I was appointed to IPID, that's when I know him. Never met him before.
Have you ever undertaken any investigation work with Mr. Paul O'Sullivan?
No, the only matters that is matters where he is the complainant and were referred to IPID. And that was IPID did it, not myself. No, I haven't. I haven't requested anything from him.
What was the nature of the work being done by Mr. Paul O'Sullivan? Till you understand.
My understanding was that he was a certified fraud examiner, assisting with forensic investigations, and basically doing the work that journalists, investigative journalists do.
Just a moment. Can you restate that? What do you say was his role at the time? If you can just restate it.
So a moment ago, I put it in three aspects. One is he's a certified fraud examiner, that someone looks at documents, identifies if there is fraud, statement analysis. And secondly, he assists with forensic analysis of documents and figures. And thirdly, he does the work that investigative journalists are doing to uncover corruption or malfeasance. That's what he does. He's actually quite obsessed with that. He's also a businessman, of which business I don't know about. I think it's to do with property, purchasing and selling.
Investigation. Okay, thank you. As he was doing an investigation, especially in corruption and other things, as during your tenure in the IPID, corruption was investigated a lot. You didn't request his assistance, not so ever.
No, not me personally. Some members of IPID might have engaged with him, not me.
But not you.
Okay. For me, he was a sounding board with information that he had. I would listen to what he said. That's generally my way.
Okay. Do you know if Mr. Paul O'Sullivan has over the years exerted influence on the work of IPID and SAPS, the prosecutorial service on the Hawks?
Could you kindly repeat, please, ma'am?
I'm saying that, have you ever heard or do you know if Mr. Paul O'Sullivan has over the years exerted an influence on the work of the IPID?
As I mentioned, on yesterday, on 2 occasions, I thought he was overstepping the line, and I brought him to order. I don't know his relationships with SAPS.
So he attempted at some point, then you came and stopped him.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Right there. Not
So
in my
meaning
presence.
that
Honorable Sokanyin, are you saying he attempted or he overstepped the line?
He attempted to, but I stopped him right there. No, that is not your business.
But it means that if he attempted and you have seen at that point the others, maybe you didn't say it. Can you agree with me on that?
That I didn't say.
Because maybe it didn't get to your attention if he attempted this one in IPID.
I'm not 100% sure, ma'am, the question, but there's only 2 occasions I remember that I remember specifically where I was present.
Which are those, if you can mention them?
There was he had information about a decision. Someone was leaking stuff to him. He had information about a decision about Mabula team to arrest IPID members and others. And he had indicated that we already have enough evidence to arrest them, we should. And I told him, no, we follow evidence until we're sure of our case and until the prosecuting authority is sure of the case also.
Meaning that you can safely say that Mr. Paul O'Sullivan had an access to confidential information or records
Not that I'm
within
aware
the
of.
APID.
Not that I'm aware of.
But if he knew and came with the information that you're narrating now, it means that he had sources within and got information and had access.
So, for example, Colonel Munsami, after exhausting all avenues within SAPS and was exasperated with no action, then went and wrote to Paul O'Sullivan. And Paul O'Sullivan then took it as a complaint to IPID whilst I was in suspension.
Did you ever attend a braai or any social gatherings with complainants of IPID?
Except for Paul O'Sullivan, no.
You did attend.
Yeah. The braai on which is supposedly the reason Nkabinda got upset and did a Judas or a Saul to Paul. Which was untrue anyway, because he continued leading the Patlani investigation. I haven't on complainants, but Paul did indicate he has a document to give everybody, which was his analysis of I think one of the matters you're discussing in your mandate is syndicates operated in South Africa and how it involves the police. So he gave us that. I'm really much about the information, the intelligence. That's my game.
So you didn't regard Paul O'Sullivan as your friend? Or himself, did he regard you as his friend? Why did he have to invite you to a braai?
Well, normally towards Christmas time, people do have braais, but I really like him.
You liked him?
Yeah, I like him. He's full of jokes and all of that, and he's a bit nutty sometimes, so...
And you get information out of those jokes.
Indeed.
Then you had to put Paul O'Sullivan next to you.
No, he always called me first when he had information. I never sought information. In fact, even today, information comes to me. People trust me to handle it confidentially.
Because if you are associating yourself with Paul O'Sullivan like that, and Paul O'Sullivan getting an information within IPID, records of information, then it means that you yourself also, you were using Paul O'Sullivan to assist you in investigating some of the things. If you are saying that you are getting information from him.
So some of the information that he gives is irrelevant to IPID, but it's relevant to understanding the size of the monster of syndicates and drug distribution, and which other seemingly clean activities are hiding the drug movement.
So he didn't influence you whatsoever as the head of IPID at that time?
No, man. In fact, there's no one on this earth that can influence me wrongly. I will always do the right thing.
Okay. Do you know a person called Sarah Jane Trent?
Very well.
How do you know her?
She was working for Paul, pulling documents together and keeping documents and dealing with litigation matters. Also a major source of categorized and archived documents which deal with anti-corruption matters.
You know, my worry is one, it's Paul O'Sullivan, then Sarah Jane Trent working with Paul O'Sullivan, but you're saying that they were not your friends. And they're working together, these two. Where now you're saying that, no, you never, ever said to them, they must investigate anything for you, being at the head of the IPID.
Okay.
Because if it was me being at the head, I'll request some people to get me information and investigate some, even though I wouldn't say they're investigating themselves.
So, if I can answer this, and depending on your definition of friend, I can answer more. But independent IPID, as it should be, does not have forensics, does not have ballistics, does not have analysis capabilities, does not have intelligence capabilities. At the end of the day, you can ask all the lead investigators. This person was the intelligence person, gathering information. That is why we got all this information on all these corrupt people. And I can talk for the whole day about them.
Okay. What was the role played by Sarah Jane Trent in Patlane's investigation?
As I mentioned, the archiving and categorizing of corruption information, which involved a number of issues, including the police. So, policing matters I knew about.
Are you aware that Sarah Jane Trent, together with Mr. Paul O'Sullivan,
Yes.
they tried impersonating IPID with regard to investigating Mr. Patlane when they wanted to have an access to information about General Patlane and his home. Are you aware of that?
Well, that is the allegation from Patlane. It's not the allegation from the three crime intelligence officers who did an assessment of possible security breach. I was not on the scene. What I know is that it was the allegation. I was given an explanation from my members who were there, including Mandla, who was killed. And yeah. And it was not long after that Mandla got his first threat.
They were arrested most for this act that they were doing.
Well, one of the allegations against the IPID members was that they were impersonating IPID members. Now that is crazy, but that was a charge on them.
So you didn't deassociate yourself from them after their arrest because you are saying that it was just an allegation made by people and it's not true according to your explanation, if I'm understanding you.
So who arrested them? It's Mabula team. Mabula team who at least 2 people died in their custody and others alleged torture. So I was associated with people who serve a purpose for IPID because of Mabula. That will never happen.
But you know, to me, it gives me goosebumps if you will be associated with Paul O'Sullivan and Ms. Sarah J. Trent, and after these individuals have committed impersonating people, doing other things with regard to law, then how this committee must conclude about you if you are befriending people like Mr. Paul O'Sullivan.
So, Honorable Member, I've been through this by the legislature before. I've been hauled over the coals for absolutely no purpose, for saying what the situation was. And all kind of scurrilous smears were thrown my way. Now, an association with a person, not friendship, association. I have very few friends. I don't like a lot of friends. But association, I have with people who add some value to my life and what I'm doing. So, in all humility, ma'am, whatever this committee feels, whatever it feels, won't change my normal activities during my private life.
Okay. Just this quick one. Mr. Nkabinde, when he came here, he said that he wrote a report about you. And then again, when it was time for
it is
discipline.
now 11:30. May we please pass the microphone to the next speaker?
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me pick up straight from what Honorable Sokanyile left. The first issue I want to pick up with you is that you say, just a few minutes ago, that whatever this committee feels, it won't change your normal life activities. We don't operate on feelings here. This committee does not operate on feelings.
Sorry, sir, could you kindly...
I'm saying this committee does not operate on feelings. It operates on the basis of extracting facts from fiction. We're running an inquisitorial process to extract facts and evidence from fiction. And it's not meant to regulate any personal life of anyone. It is directed at checking whether or not the allegations leveled on the 6th of July, 2025 do actually stand, and are our government institutions kept that or not. So this is not about your personal life. It's basically about the government of the people. It does not get entangled to your personal life. That's what this is about. The second thing that I've picked up is when you were responding to Honorable Sokanyile is on the relationship between you and Paul O'Sullivan. And as you explain, you go to an extent of saying the fact is the investigations at IP do not have some of the relevant material to conduct investigations. And Paul does have some of the relevant material. Is that a concession that you have used Paul O'Sullivan to conduct IP investigation?
Well, that's a bit of a jump in logic because he's one of the sources of information. There are others also. But the fact that he provides information or is a complainant does not translate into controlling IPID. That is a fiction which was created by Patlani and his crew themselves.
So you say?
And that is all they got. They got no explanation for the charges they must face.
But Mr. McBride, to what extent did you use Mr. Paul O'Sullivan or his resources to conduct IPID investigations?
Whenever he had information to me, I went and listened to it. But all the answers are here, written long before 6th of July 2025. The answers were here already about all these issues you're asking me about. Nothing to do with anything else, nothing to do with allegations made by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. It was here already, affidavits, court papers, judgments, all there.
So, in a nutshell, you mean you have used information from Paul O'Sullivan to arrive at decision on the investigations IP conducted.
In a nutshell, some of his information proved useful in our investigations.
So, your investigations were resourced in terms of information by Paul O'Sullivan, who's not part of IPID.
Or anybody else who had information.
Let's pass it. I hope members will pick it up. Did Paul become part of investigations, physical investigations? You'll recall the estate allocation. Was it the only incident where Mr. O'Sullivan accompanied IPID investigators when they were conducting investigations?
So let me put it this, in a nutshell. Paul O'Sullivan was the complainant. He had interaction.
No, let's leave that one first, Mr. McBride. Let's say, apart from that one, did Paul accompany investigators of IPID when they conducted investigations?
I will answer you, but I will answer you fully.
Okay.
So that you understand in a nutshell. So, Paul O'Sullivan showed IPID the alleged crime scene, which was Patlani's house. That's the first thing, which
Mr. McBride.
Yes, sir.
You are giving answers on a time that is allocated to the honorable member. And the honorable member has said it more than once, that please answer the question that he asks you, so that his time is not squandered without him exhaustively asking the questions that he wants to. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the question is, apart from the Patlane estate, I forgot its name, did Mr. Paul O'Sullivan accompany IPID investigators when they were conducting investigations?
I'm not aware of it.
You're not aware of it? Okay, let's go to the part you were going to. You say there is an allegation against Mr. Patlane of corruption, blah, 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 in SAPS, where procurement is done in SAPS, where service providers submit their bid tenders in SAPS procurement offices. Now, you term the visit to the estate by Paul O'Sullivan and IPID investigators a visit to the crime scene. How did the estate become a crime scene of a crime that was committed at SAPS?
Can you repeat that? I'm not sure.
How did the estate become a crime scene of a crime that was committed at SAPS headquarters?
Oh, that's a very good question. Very good question.
If the good part, just answer the question.
How did it become a crime scene? The house was built without registered money. There was no money used from a bank to pay those builders. So where was the money coming from? And there's evidence to suggest it came in black plastic bags. Those were the initial statements and recordings of people who worked with Patlane. So, on the bond that was drawn was 600,000. None of it was drawn on it, but there was a approved bond, 600,000. But the issue is Patlane is still staying in a crime scene. Now, as we're talking.
No, Mr. McBride. A person is shot and killed here in this chamber. Okay? The person who shoots takes man and takes a cell phone and runs to Khayelitsha. He gets arrested in Khayelitsha. That does not make the Khayelitsha a crime scene. Because a crime scene is where the crime was committed. So this chamber remains the crime scene. So I still ask a question. How did Phahlane's house become a crime scene?
It's the proceeds of crime.
That's not a crime scene. That's a complete different concept.
Still a crime scene.
No, it's not.
Oh, yes, it is. In fact, there was a supplier who fitted in a sound system. So a supplier to SAPS fitted in a sound system or paid for in Phahlane's house. That gratification is a crime scene.
Let's leave it. Let's leave it to waste our time. So you mean the only person who knew your called crime scene was Mr. Paul O'Sullivan? The investigators at IPID did not know the place where Mr. Phahlane was building a house. They needed, just to point a house, they needed Paul O'Sullivan. I thought when you said you used the resources from Paul O'Sullivan to conduct IPID investigations, you spoke about sophisticated machinery. For example, we were told here that he even has a grabber. See, so we thought that it's those kind of things. So are you saying the investigators could not compile information that points themselves to Mr. Phahlane's house? They had to use the services of Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, who later, by the way, was actually charged for impersonating an IPID official.
Well, the charge fell away, number one. Number two, it was on the one occasion in which he was a complainant, which he showed them where the house is. So it's, what did you expect me to say? In fact, the word crime scene comes from my investigators.
Yeah, your investigators misled you. The reason why you were misled is because you let Mr. O'Sullivan to lead your investigations. Let's pass this part, Mr. McBride. There is a complaint by Mr. Paul O'Sullivan against General Phahlane. So you formulate a task team. What they call the Phahlane task team. Is it the Phahlane task team?
We could have called it the corruption task team.
Yeah, but the point I want to ask is it a usual procedure at IPID when investigating a complaint, you formulate a task team? Is it how you approach all complaints that are submitted at IPID?
So, firstly, it was not a usual situation at IPID. I had two of my senior investigators unlawfully dismissed. We were denuded of resources of investigators. We prior to my arrival at IPID, there was a task team on Marikana. And the same thing, they pulled people from different provinces, Northern Cape, Free State, and sent them to go and investigate the Marikana incident or incidents. So it is done sometimes.
So you mean the Phahlane accusations or allegations are as equivalent as a massacre?
Equivalent as a murderer.
Beg your pardon?
I didn't understand your question.
You make an example of a task team formed on the Marikana massacre.
Yes.
So I'm saying, so you equivalent the complaints against Phahlane to a massacre.
No, I didn't make any comparison. You asked, is it normal practice to set up a task team? So I told you the usual situation in IPID in 2016 November was unusual. Two of my most senior investigators were unlawfully dismissed. So we had to make do with what we got. It's a compulsion. We are compelled to investigate complaints and say whether they're valid or not. That's the law.
So Mr. Bright, you say you don't usually appoint task teams to investigate complaints at IPID, but this was a special arrangement. And you explain it and say there are some special arrangements. So you say the complaint against General Pahlana was a special case. It warranted a task team.
So it's the first time we had such a major systemic corruption matter to deal with. Prior to that, the systemic corruption case we were dealing with, which probably is the real reason why we got into trouble along the way, is the Panday case which we had to take over at a certain stage. But I'll get back to that just now. But this one involved drugs going missing, illicit narcotics from the lab, rhino horn, stuff that's supposed to be evidence in cases. And we needed to put together a team. And that's what happened. You can say, yes, it was wise, it was not wise, or it should be considered different in different circumstances. Given the same circumstances, under the same conditions, with the very same allegations, I'll do it again.
Okay. Allegations are that, which were confirmed by both General Pahlane and Mr. Nkabinde, are that you connived with Paul O'Sullivan, established a task team to taint his image so that he gets fired from SAPS and he does not become a national commissioner. What is your response to that?
My response is, he got fired there even when I was not at IPID. He got charged by NPA when I was not at IPID, when I was not in the criminal justice system. He got dismissed from an acting post. If you are still willing to believe Cedric Nkabinde, there's no hope for you, honorable person.
Chair.
Honorable, Mr. McBride, you see how we treat you as a witness. Each and every witness that comes before us is treated like that. And when you speak the truth, you do not have to do that at the expense of another witness. Just speak the truth the way you know it. Because the truth does not need majority and does not even need to be backed by a personal attack on the other witness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Chair, of course, it's correct. We're compiling evidence, so no one is supposed to cast doubt on someone else's evidence. And I said allegations. So I don't know where you get that if I believe there is no hope. And please don't do that again, so that we have a smooth interaction, a conversation. Let's pass this stage and go to, you allege in paragraph 53 that former Minister Nathi Nhleko established a reference group to investigate on how does IPID investigate in complaints, and you term it as political interference. And what is the actual envisaged accountability framework at IPID?
Well, what we know now is that what independence actually means, from the McBride versus Minister of Police, meaning Nhleko case in the Constitutional Court, it means operational and structural independence. That's what it means. You cannot get outsiders, including civilians, to come and question us about our investigations, to demand dockets from us. And that's what happened. So yes, there's political interference. They should have backed off.
So the reference group was comprised of civilians.
Say again, sir?
I'm saying the reference group established by former Minister Nhleko was comprised of civilians. And that's part of the uncomfortability around
And a sitting prosecutor for the NPA, what's his business to check how we investigate?
Let's pass that. So you investigate a rendition case against General Spear and Dramat. So how do you then become on the side of the wrong and subsequently get suspended? Can I repeat it? Or did you get me?
The suspension was unlawful. The whole world knows that.
No, let's leave the lawfulness.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you were on this side investigating these ones who are accused of rendition. How did you cross the line and become on the side of those who are accused of rendition, which ultimately got you suspended, whether lawfully or unlawfully?
I don't know what goes in the mind of Nkosinathi Nhleko. I've got no clue.
Are you done now? So you don't know how you became a part of the suspects on the rendition case?
I've given you my answer. That is my answer. Ask Nhleko what was going through
No. You are not going to do that, Mr. McBride. I'm not going to ask you a question and you tell me I must ask Nhleko. We did not summon Nhleko to appear here. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. If you are unable to answer, just say I'm unable to answer and we pass.
All I know, it was unlawful. That's all that matters to me.
So you don't know how you became a suspect on the rendition case?
How I became a suspect?
How you became at the wrong such that you got suspended. That's the point I'm making.
I had nothing to do with the rendition business.
All right, let's pass. On paragraph 59, you speak about infiltration of the crime intelligence in the IPID business. But the use of your language is that you were alerted after having returned at IPID about allegations of crime intelligence interfering and all that. But did you formally, because I think when you were back as the executive director at IPID, you were supposed to have been given a formal report of the work that has been done whilst you are in suspension. But here in the paragraph, you speak about being alerted, about allegations and all those stuff. You don't say, I called an executive meeting, if it's an executive meeting. I requested a report on investigations. And this is what we picked up about the crime intelligence infiltration at IPID.
Yes, sir, you're quite accurate on that. Firstly, I did not get a handover report. Khamanyane ran away as an acting ED. He ran away, he never came back. So there's no handover report. Who do I ask for what happened? So you'd have situations like Leon Mbangwa being a chair for IPID appointments. We have a situation where the corporate services head is suspended, but they appoint a new one in the place to act from outside, someone who is not part of IPID, to act in a position that is not vacant, it is filled by someone, and you have illegal alien Leon Mbangwa sitting as a chairperson of that meeting. Now, that will give you an idea what's going on in Nhleko's mind.
We have got illegal alien.
Absolutely.
Who is that?
The chief of staff of Nhleko.
Chair, I think let's again try to reprimand the witness. I think it's important how we refer to people. Was the problem, if chair we don't reprimand, it will appear as though that this is the opinion of Parliament. Because we are on record under oath in Parliament.
Yeah.
So let's just
What is an alien?
and he's not a citizen of South Africa or legally in South Africa. Yet he's the chief of staff and he's carrying a false ID. This was presented before the Zondo Commission also.
You wanted to say it's a foreign national who is illegal in the country.
Yes, but it's often referred to as illegal alien. In other words, not someone from here. Now, I don't mind if he comes here legally, that's fine.
Yeah, no, you know, when you spoke here yesterday, you said that you are a freedom fighter.
Yes, indeed.
And I thought that you belong to the progressive fold or to the progressive perspective. May we please use the language of the progressives when we address fellow human beings.
My language is not unprogressive. My irritation at madness that's accepted as normal is progressive.
Look at me. You see how composed I am when I talk to you. I want you to leave McBride at his house and bring a witness here. Leave McBride at his house. McBride as a person may have those defects, but bring a witness here. Take yourself home and bring back a witness here. Please.
Do you want me to leave?
I don't think that you suggest you don't understand what I'm saying. For a person of advanced age like yourself, you surely understand what the chairperson is saying when he is requesting you to bring a witness to these proceedings. You see, it is our attitude, all of us, that make these proceedings to be successful. It is not our personalities. It is not our names. It is not our fame. It's not our credentials, but our attitude that make these proceedings to succeed. And that is why I am making this humble plea to you, that whatever decorations we may have, let's leave that at home and bring witnesses and have a conversation here. May we proceed, Honorable Ngolo.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let's move. You say at paragraph 69. 69 in your statement that Mr. Paul O'Sullivan lent the pace at which Mr. Pahlane's, General Pahlane's house was built from Google.
Yes.
So does that mean the day of the visit was the first time he was there?
You mean of O'Sullivan?
Yes.
I get the impression O'Sullivan was there before because the estate manager was giving him information.
So the pace of General Pahlane's house was received. The information was received from the estate agent or from Google.
And the second sentence, they say, O'Sullivan also had evidence to support suspicions that Pahlane was receiving kickbacks.
No, we're coming to the kickbacks. We're coming to the kickbacks.
Okay.
I'm saying, did Mr. O'Sullivan receive
evidence
information from the estate agent or from Google, as it is said in the statement?
My understanding is it's two matters together. It's the rate of the building, estimated costs versus, and together with the evidence of kickbacks and the fact that no money is used through a bank to pay for builders. additional evidence, which I had seen at some stage, about payment in black refuse bags in cash. So it's a known method of
relation to General Pahlane's involvement in the procurement process of the goods you said are substandard with the service providers, and also the continued loss of narcotics and rhino horns. You say you were briefed that there is clear evidence against General Pahlane. Can you tell us what clear evidence did you have?
No, I didn't say
in the
clear
form
evidence.
of.
No, I didn't say clear evidence, sir. I didn't say that. I said there was a complaint, and the complaint came through, and the complaint came through on the defective equipment that this was happening. I didn't say clear evidence. Information.
On paragraph 76 in your statement, you said clear evidence. Go check. You said clear evidence.
At a later stage.
Paragraph 76, you
Yes,
say.
So there's evidence about that, part of that evidence.
But do we agree that you said clear evidence?
But it's not about about the initial complaint. It's
No,
clear
I'm not
evidence.
talking about the rendition. I'm talking about the allegations of corruption against General Pahlane. I'm talking about you continue the SAPS loss of narcotics and rhino horns.
No, I'm not talking about clear evidence about that. Okay. This is saying there's clear evidence of a corrupt relationship between General Pahlane and sub-service providers.
That's what I'm actually asking.
Yes, and it's in court.
What clear evidence do you have?
It's in court.
No, leave the fact that it's in court. It can be in court. Remember, we have just said the charge against Paul O'Sullivan of impersonating IPID fell away. So even this one, there is no court judgment on it. So let's leave it. Let's not reference on it. Let's deal with what we have.
Well,
so I'm saying, what clear evidence did you have against General Pahlane on the involvement in the procurement process of the substandard goods you're talking about? What clear evidence did you have against General Pahlane on the actual relationship with service providers? What clear evidence do you have against General Pahlane on the continued loss of narcotics and rhino horns?
So, General Pahlane, who is on bail for corruption, had an untoward relationship. That's part of the evidence before court, and it's part of further investigations that are taking place. So the people who are seized with the matter need to be asked that. I don't remember after 11 years or what that was. After 11 years, what that was. So I don't have the files and the finances and stuff.
So you don't know if there were monies that were transferred to him, there is telephone communication. You don't know that. But you say in your statement there is clear evidence.
So he received gratification. I testified about 5 minutes ago about that. And that was a sound system.
Okay.
And the cars.
Did you get the slip of the sound system? Where was it bought? Who bought it? And all those things?
Yeah, that was all obtained.
Okay. Okay, let's pass. Let's pass. Okay, on paragraph 9.1.1, I'm trying to rush. You say Mr. Nkabinde is a double agent. What does that mean? What do you mean he's a double agent?
In which context? Tell me the paragraph and I get
9.1.1. Paragraph 9.1.1 in your statement.
Page.
Paragraph 9.1.1.
1 second.
In your statement. attachment, this one. It's not a statement. This one.
Oh, sure. On paragraph 9, I don't find that on my affidavit.
Check 84.1.
I don't have a 84.1. I just have a 84 paragraph.
Can you?
Yeah, on my affidavit.
Okay, we'll come back to it. Okay, we'll come back to it, but I think it was in relation to the investigations against Pahlane, where he was part of the task team, but he was able to have relations with the side of Pahlane and the side of the Sullivan arrangement and all that. I think the context was that.
If you can refer me to the number, I'm trying to find it here.
No, it's fine. Let's leave it. We'll deal with it.
Chairperson.
Can we allow Honorable Ngola to conclude, and then I will...
May I just assist? It's 91.1.
91.1.
91.1.
Okay.
That's what I was saying, 91.1. I said 91.1.
May you please proceed so that we don't waste your time.
Okay, Chair, let's pass. We may come back if Mr. McBride gets that. Mr. McBride, I think the last question from me is that you Mandla Mahlangu is murdered. When he gets murdered, he received numerous threats before. Was there a security assessment that was done so that to prevent him being murdered? Was there a submission done to the crime intelligence in relation to the threats and all that?
So, could you repeat again?
I'm saying, was there a security assessment done on Mr. Mandla Mahlangu after having received threats so that the state is able to protect him?
We try to locate who is sending the threats. We knew it's from crime intelligence. Mandla was offered the chance not to continue, but he insisted on going through with it. And the more people came and challenged him, the more he went ahead with it. We were aware of the disruption that was taking place, and we knew who we were dealing with in terms of the Mabula team. So we knew who we were dealing with. So they, Mandla insisted on going ahead and insisted on doing the recordings, which were made available in Zondo, which we could make available to you here also. But I have on page 27, the 91.1 you were speaking about. I don't know if you...
You can proceed to answer it as well.
Sorry.
You can answer that one as well.
I can't remember the question.
Why do you say Mr. Ngabinde is a double agent? What do you mean?
Oh, there's an affidavit to that effect from a crime intelligence person. Mr. Brigadier Hlungwane, who's still getting hounded and victimized now.
What does it say in the affidavit?
It might be here with our bundles, but he says he gives information about when he was informed about a crime about to be committed, basically the theft of 45 million from the Secret Service Fund on crime intelligence in the run-up. So it's 2017, in December 2017. And the information was passed to Cedric, who was in charge of the crime intelligence leg of the Patlani investigation. And he disappeared for a few days and did not convey the information. And then Hlungwane received the information. So Hlungwane's affidavit is here. It was at Zondo. It's in many places. It would be here somewhere. I think I sent it to evidence leaders long ago, from December already. But he explains clearly what it is. One of the most outstanding stars, decent people from crime intelligence.
Okay. Lastly, you say Mandla Mahlangu was a friend of General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.
Yes.
They went to watch football together.
Yes, sir.
They were buddies. General Mkhwanazi was amongst the first, if not the first, at the crime scene when Mr. Mahlangu was murdered. But he didn't go to the funeral.
If he was there, he was hiding somewhere. He was not in a tent, and neither was he at the cemetery.
But what are you trying to insinuate? With that statement alone, what are you trying to insinuate? You even go to an extent of saying General Mkhwanazi was in the scene whilst he is in HR. What are you trying to insinuate with that statement?
Oh, it's just an inconsistency, sir. Just a big inconsistency. It's something that any investigator worth their salt would question.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chair. I'm done.
Thank you so much, honorable members.